Professor Sampson Mamphweli is an energy expert from the South African National Energy Development Institute, or SANEDI, and he joins us now to further unpack these tariff increases. Prof, always great having you with us. A very good afternoon. So the news of these tariff increases actually surfaced last year, and finally the implementation started yesterday. And while residents are complaining because they're feeling the pinch, especially those who reside in what is referred to as disadvantaged areas and are mostly either reliant on social grants, which power suppliers say they will, of course, be exempted. But this points to really hard times ahead in terms of the affordability of electricity.
Good afternoon to you, the viewers. Tough times now and ahead. The residents are complaining now. They should have participated in the public participation process that is normally run by NERSA. One of the things that need to be corrected is the manner in which NERSA runs these public participation processes, because their public notices don't necessarily reach the relevant people on the ground. They make these announcements mainly through their website. I've never seen them even advertising in any media platform about the tariff increases that the municipalities request. However, when there's a court order, the municipality cannot necessarily implement the tariff hikes. They need to write to NERSA and look for a directive from NERSA, which in my view will be to hold on to the decision to implement the tariff hikes. The cost of supply studies, that is one of the requirements, because the request for increment is based mainly on the cost of supply. So it boils down to that, and one wonders, what did these municipalities base their cost of supply on if they did not do those particular studies? So that is a gray area that needs to be corrected as well.
You know, Prof, that actually brings me right to my next point, because the issue around this pricing or billing structure, I mean, how is it decided? We don't know. And is there a need for the regulator to be the one deciding on the rate hikes? I mean, just like you said, we don't know what social study models they actually implement in order to determine a just as well as fair increase in the various municipalities.
Yes, so the process is such that there must be the cost of supply studies that are done by the various municipalities, and that includes the cost of bulk supply from Eskom, because municipalities buy from Eskom, and I know that that cost has gone high because Eskom also received the tariff hikes approvals from NERSA. The role of NERSA is mainly to regulate the price, and also in the process and in the main is to protect the consumers and mainly looking at the poor. I've seen some old people complaining as well. Those should be exempted from paying for electricity, or they should be given about 50 free basic unit, and then from there the amount that they must pay. For instance, the Polokwane municipality is implementing 12%. So the old people must get 50 free basic units, and anything above the 50 free basic units, they must pay a half in terms of the tariff increase, which will be in the region of 6% or so. But the main issue is that the municipalities need to do the cost of supply studies. That includes the cost of the infrastructure that they have in place, the cost of the human resources, the cost of buying electricity from Eskom, and NERSA need to run a public participation or public consultation process where the residents of the particular municipality have got the opportunity to participate in the process, go add their views and indicate whether they agree or disagree with these tariffs, and then NERSA then make a determination at the end of the day, and they may give the requested tariffs, or they might go down in terms of the requested tariffs after taking into consideration the public participation process. Like I said, that process in most cases is advertised in their website, and sometimes within the municipalities in terms of those A4 page papers that you find when you go to the municipality. But not many people are visiting municipalities these days. They do everything online and all that. So NERSA need to also find a way of dealing with this particular aspect so that people can be able to participate fully in this process going forward. And we expect, by the way, that the tariffs will increase from now onwards, unless the plan that government is putting in place of unbundling Eskom results in more role players coming into the picture, which is why government decided to do that, and then that can then result in stabilization of the electricity price going forward, or even lesser prices going forward.
You know, Prof, here's another dilemma. We know that for these particular increments, right, pertaining to the electricity tariff, now there's a new one, which is a 200 Rand cap fee for what they've termed is for maintenance as well as service costs. And it doesn't apply to all municipalities in the country. But as you've rightly pointed out, for those who apparently conducted cost feasibility studies, maybe talk us through in layman terms what this actually translates to, and who is directly and mostly affected by this move.
So the 200 rands that you talked about is basically paying for the infrastructure that comes to your house. So you've got your transmission lines from Eskom, and then you've got distribution lines and transformers that are owned by municipalities. So those distribution lines and the transformers, they need to be maintained. That's where the 200 Rand comes on board. And then that is
Professor, those lines or infrastructure did not need to be maintained starting from yesterday.
The truth of the matter is that there was supposed to be a fee to maintain that infrastructure. So when in the past, when they did the cost of supply studies, they would basically include that fee inside the tariff structure that they have. This time, what they're doing is to basically unbundle it and remove it from what we call what you consume, what we call the kilowatt hours, or the units that people buy, because there's a difference. The units that you buy, those are the cost of that is basically worked outside of the cost of the rest of the infrastructure. In the case where they are now charging the 200 Rand for the infrastructure, it used to be called the connection fee. In the past, when you apply for your electricity connections, then you would have to pay for that money in advance. But what we have realized is that over time, the infrastructure degrades, and then it needs to be maintained. And in some cases, we need additional lines. For instance, I can give this example of Eskom. Eskom at the moment, they need about 400 billion Rand to strengthen and also to extend the transmission grid. And that backlog was partly because this charge was not explicit in their tariffs until almost recently, when they started including that particular charge in their tariff structure as well. However, that 200 Rand is not going to be charged as a kind of a once off. It depends on how much electricity you buy, and then it gets calculated retrospective.
A quick one, Prof, before I let you go. I mean, reports indicate also that Eskom wants an increase of about 44% next year. The 36.1% in 2025 for its direct customers it supplies to, and this, of course, 43.5% in local authorities. So we're in for quite a long haul at this stage.
That is quite correct. However, that is an application from Eskom at the moment after they looked at their cost of supply. What happens is that NERSA, before they grant that particular application, they will have to look at the Eskom operations. They look at technical efficiencies at power station level. They look at operational efficiencies, which basically means on the human resource side and how they they operate the power system and all that. They look at other things such as whether there is no corruption and things like that that can be improved, that will then affect the cost of electricity supply. And then they can then make a determination after looking at all those aspects. And also they still need to go through a public participation process. The one that I've described, saying that they normally publish it online, sometimes in some newspapers, so they don't necessarily reach the majority of people through their publications. And then they make a determination also looking at the economic outlook of the country, and then they make a determination. So Eskom might have made that application, but they might not get the 36% tariff hike that they've requested. What I have noticed over the years, though, is that Eskom is very good when it comes to calculations of this cost of supply, because they need to calculate the cost of supply and then include what we call the minimum allowable profit. And what happens is that NERSA then grants them less tariff increases, and then the following year they recoup that money through what we call the regulatory clearing accounts.
Prof, thank you so much. And we know that, of course, some of these tariffs, can be the subject of some legal court action if some of those people or municipalities don't necessarily agree. Prof, thank you so much, as always, for that comprehensive update there. That is Professor Sampson Mamphweli, an energy expert at SANEDI.